Well, naturally, winning your first battle is always important. Of course, in every Pokemon match, there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. And the trainers I know are real losers.
Gary Oak is not only the rival of the first season of the Pokemon anime, but he's also a generational hater. But as the series progresses, we learn that at the end of the day, he doesn't really hate Ash at all. Because the two boys from Pallet Town aren't enemies. They're rivals. But rivals don't just exist in Pokemon and professional sports. The concept of rivalry is present wherever we watch or participate in competition. I'm sure you can think of a few rivals you've had in your life, and much more importantly, you can think of rivals from your favorite anime, like Naruto and Sasuke or Luffy, Kid, and Law. And these rivalries aren't just a staple of a competitive environment, but when it comes to narrative structure, rivalries are often the engine driving the plot forward and pushing the characters to grow and develop. And not only would the best anime out there not function without their rivalries, but further than that, our favorite anime characters would be nothing without their rivals. So let's break this down to like dummy level. What is a rival? Well, a rivalry is a relationship, often an extremely close relationship. But unlike a friend who supports the protagonist or an enemy who opposes them, a rival often serves as a foil. And when I say foil, I'm not talking aluminium. I mean the literary term. Someone whose characteristics reflect another character's attributes to make them more obvious, either to us the audience or to other characters in their story. And a foil is not an antagonist. Usually a foil is actually a peer or someone who's parallel to the protagonist. And they don't necessarily oppose each other, it's more like they complement who the other is. And because of these complementary characteristics, the foil usually serves the narrative function of challenging the protagonists and pushing them to grow. And rivalries can be intense, driving characters to their limits to reveal their strengths and weaknesses. And while these rivalries are often present in conflict, it goes beyond just competition. When I'm talking about rivalries, I'm talking about deep relationships. Because what rivalries are is the basis for complex relationships that blur the line between friend and enemy. I mean, just think about famous rivalries in sports. Think about like Ohio State versus Michigan or Messi versus Ronaldo. Because of these relationships, it's hard to think of one without thinking about the other. Or some examples of rivalries in other fiction. I'm talking about relationships like Tom and Jerry, the original cat and mouse, or the Roy children in Succession and their insanely complex relationships with one another. Or one of my favorite examples, Jim and Dwight's frenemies relationship on The Office. And these characters might seem like they hate each other sometimes, or most of the time, but as the viewer, we know that they don't. Not only do they secretly kind of love one another, but they really couldn't exist without each other. And even if they could, they wouldn't want to. I mean, personally, I think that Jim stayed in that dead-end job for Dwight as much as he did for Pam. So understanding these nuances of rivalry and the impact they have on the story is how we come to understand our favorite anime characters and the worlds that they live in. A lot of the most iconic moments in anime history weren't just battles between good and evil, but they were clashes between rivals. And maybe more than anywhere else, I think rivalry in shonen anime toes the relationship line between friend and enemy. Because in these shows, a rival is much more than just an adversary. They symbolize and reflect the protagonist's journey. In Naruto, Sasuke's rivalry with Naruto is a central theme that spans the entire series. What begins as a rivalry based on jealousy and competition evolves into a complex relationship that shapes both characters' destinies. Sasuke serves as Naruto's foil, highlighting his strengths and weaknesses, both as a person and as a ninja. And similarly, in One Piece, the rivalry between Luffy, Kid, and Law isn't just about who's the strongest. Like, obviously that's a part of it, but it's a rivalry built on mutual respect and a shared dream of finding the One Piece. And this shared dream has seen them fighting both against each other and on the same side throughout the series. And rivalries can range from deadly affairs like Light Yagami and L in Death Note, to relationships being the driving factor in characters' growth like Asta and Yuno in Black Clover. Our characters need rivals, because without rivals, our characters are alone. There would be no reflection of them in the world around them. There would be no one to compete with, to force them to grow. Because this competition and the desire to win is what makes the characters who they are. And to me, it's so well exemplified in that myth of Alexander the Great. When he realized he had accomplished his goal and conquered all of his rivals, he wasn't happy. He simply sat down and wept.
It was a long and fierce battle, and in the end, Ash emerged victorious. It was something to see.
I won, and I beat Gary.
fucking go. Let's fucking go. My baseball team's winning. Let's go. Let's go. Happy boy when the baseball team does well. Happy boy when the sports go good. But it's funny, like, that feeling of watching my favorite sports team, my favorite ball club, drive in some runs against a team I truly hate. We're playing the Astros. Hate the Astros. Always have. The cheating thing was just worse. And it's like that desire to win, to be better than them. I'm not even playing. I'm just watching, and it's a part of my identity. That there's something there, you know? There's something there. There's something there that's so deeply human and compelling that you don't get it anywhere else. I think anime does the best job of like capturing those emotions in fiction. And you see it a lot in sports, in real life. I think that's where you can emulate it so much, but Shonen anime does a great job of taking these larger concepts that are often applied to teams or to, you know, historic competitions and boiling them down into personified characters. It's so good. They do such a good job at it. Let's fucking go! We're gonna win the World Series this year, by the way. All right, back at it. And I think that rivalries are what make these shows worth watching. They're integral to these shows' core themes of growth, friendship, and determination. And this isn't something that's just present in the shonen battle genre. Yuki and Kyo had been rivals since childhood in Fruits Basket, but it ratcheted up to a whole new level when they formed a love triangle with Toru. Kaguya and Miyuki from Love is War emulate a super interesting and incredibly entertaining rivals in love trope, and Shoyo and Tobio's rivalry in Haikyuu is a driving force behind the series' progression. With one having extreme natural talent and the other being a genius workhorse, they push each other to hone their skills in volleyball. But unlike typical rivalries, Shoyo and Tobio play different positions and are actually more powerful when they play together as opposed to on opposite teams. The two have to overcome their differences in order to reach a common goal, but that's never as easy as it sounds. Their rivalry not only shapes their characters, but also drives the plot forward, leading to some of the series' most memorable moments. Similarly, in My Hero Academia, the rivalry between Midoriya and Bakugo is central to the series' themes of heroism and self-discovery. Bakugo's aggressive nature and desire to be the best are the foil for Midoriya's more timid personality. It creates a dynamic that pushes both characters to confront their weaknesses and strive for greatness in their own ways. Overall, rivalries in shonen anime are a powerful storytelling tool that add depth, excitement, and complexity to their narratives. They're an integral part of what makes these anime shows and all stories really so compelling and enduring. And it's because rivalries can really be anything. Rivalries in anime and in all stories aren't just about conflict. They don't boil down to just being about who's the strongest or who's gonna come out on top. They're about growth and friendship and the journey of self-discovery. They're about our favorite character seeing themselves in someone else and that being an impetus to grow. Whether that growth is positive or negative for their character arc, well, that's down to the context of their story. But whether it's Naruto and Sasuke or Luffy, Kid and Law, to me, anime rivalries are what make these stories unforgettable. Did we? We did it! Yeah, let's go! We did it! Oh, that was so fucking stupid. It wasn't worth it at all. It wasn't worth. You guys better be laughing. It wasn't worth it at all. Fuck me.